Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my Blackforce experience. This is a story about how Black professionals are getting to the cloud ecosystem. Tonight, we're inviting Rosemary Orji to share our experience of how she was able to get a job after a training, and not just that, to also share our experience about what goes on behind the scene while she was working with us at Blackforce. So without wasting much time, let's get to meet you, Rosemary. How are you? Please introduce yourself and tell us what you were doing before Blackforce.
Thank you, Babatagwe, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Rosemary. I'm still a lawyer. I don't want to use the word I used to be because I'm called to the Nigerian bar, but I always wanted to switch to technology or the IT when the company I was working for was undergoing a digital transformation. And that was when I started hearing words like agile methodologies, cross-functional teams, and the MD we had at that time was quite crazy. I use the word crazy not in a bad way, but crazy in terms of it had so many things he needed to achieve, and it was like all hands on deck. This was not something that was left for the IT department. So if you're in internal audit or internal control or brand or marketing and corporate communication or legal, everybody was drafted in to be involved in one project or the other. And I was very involved. Like, we got consultants that came to train us, and it was enlightening. And at that time, my desire was to go into data analytics. I actually signed up for some courses. We trained, we had a capstone project, but it wasn't like they just, the training is done, so you had to go and like hustle for yourself. And what Blackforce was offering, or is still offering, is we train you, we help you also get into the ecosystem. So, and I got to Canada in 2020, and because I needed to have a job when I got in, so I applied for roles that were related to legal, to my legal skills, right? So I was working as a corporate paralegal on a contract basis, and when it ended, I just said, this is the time to just speak deployment. Don't try to apply, just see if this is for you. And I enrolled to join Women in Technology in Alberta. But in fact, they had said we're going to start in January. And then a friend said, he's done Blackforce, that should just try it. And I came in and I'm like, okay, because I've used Blackforce in Nigeria, but as a user, as an end user, I did not know you could make a career out of Salesforce. And I joined, and the rest is history.
That's it. Good stuff. Thank you. That was good. Well done. So I want to find out, why did you choose to go into tech? Okay, let me explain. Did you choose to go into tech because the legal career is not as rewarding, or do you choose to go into tech because you just want something different? What was the drive for you?
I wanted something different because I'm like 12 years at the bar now. But at the time I was trying to transition, I was 10 years at the bar. And I had gained so much knowledge, and I knew all the tricks in the books of being a corporate commercial lawyer, and I no longer felt challenged. And then it's funny that when the MD of my company at the time was asking us to get involved in being cross-functional teams, work on projects, software projects, I was complaining. I'm like, I'm here to be a lawyer, man. I'm not here to do this. But I got into it and I really loved it. And I love the fact that IT is all-encompassing of so many things. So, and the fact that even if you're in one area, you can easily switch, that made it an easy decision for me, actually. So, yeah.
Okay, so now
I was doing well in my legal career, but I just needed to change.
Okay, fair enough. So now, I'm sorry about that. Right now, you decided to change and you chose Salesforce, and you said something that you were influenced by your friend. So I haven't been introduced to Salesforce. Did you find it somewhat easier compared to data analytics, or you just found it because I've used it before, then I feel like it's something I can do? Did you find it easier, or why did you choose Salesforce?
Honestly, I decided to try Salesforce because I was keeping my mind open to any possibility. It's not like when I was trying to go into IT, Salesforce was on my mind. Data analytics was in my mind. I had developed knowledge in using Power BI, Tableau, SQL. I was even preparing to start using Python to learn. And I liked it how reports tell stories, right? You make decisions, data-driven decisions. So I got into it. I was really into it. And then there's a bit of doing it and then a bit of actually having your first break, and it was exceedingly tough. So I needed that transition, and I didn't get that guidance from the trainings I had. And when I was telling my friend about it, and he's like, Blackforce is going to do all these things. Just try it. And I kept my options open, because if Salesforce had not worked, I would have turned to somewhere, another bit of IT, literally. I would have just changed direction. But I did Salesforce and it was like, okay, let's go there.
That's good. Thanks. And during your set, we only had the admin course, right? And that admin was slightly different from what we currently have now. But during your set, we had projects, we had a lot of activities going on. How did you find your experience based on the course itself, as well as the projects you did during your session?
That was an intense time. Very, even though I had stopped working, so I had all the time in the world. But honestly, I wasn't really sleeping and I was blessed with wonderful group members. God, I love those guys. They were really amazing, and we really worked in sync. So the experience was, I loved it. I don't know whether it's because of the stress, but I loved it. I loved the fact that we're getting involved in real life project stuff. So, and having to bounce ideas, and the nature of this job is such that you can't really do it on your own. So you have to because there's so many ways in which you can achieve results, right? But by the time they started training us, and I'm like, damn, I really like this Salesforce. I like how you can go to the back end and do something, and the front end just displays what you want. And yeah, I was fortunate. I was blessed with a wonderful team. So
okay, let's go into that team, because when I chose you guys, obviously, it wasn't random, even though there was some logic involved in selecting certain few people, right? You know, Olusamuel was a group leader, you were a group leader, almost all the group leader got a Salesforce job afterwards, right? So there must be some metric I used to select a group leader. Having said that, it wasn't all rosy when you started working as a group. And I remember during your demo, you weren't happy about maybe some of the comments I made regarding your performance, even though you guys made amazing application, right? So I want you to walk me through that experience of working as part of a team of non-tech people doing a tech stuff. How was that project challenge, and how did you feel after the feedback I gave to you guys during your presentation?
That's like a lot of questions in one question. First off, my team members were as hungry as I was. So you couldn't have, I don't know what logic you used in choosing my team members, but it worked in my favor. And we gelled. And every time I say we're to meet, to discuss this, to resolve this is pending, this is not pending, everyone, even we had people on the team that had children and were still working, they would have their laptops by this side and also contribute. When we assign responsibilities, everyone takes it on. We discuss it, we critique it, right? And coming to the projects you're referring to, where your comments and everything, it felt is bygone right now. But at that time, I was unhappy because we get this load of questions, we resolve it. We're the only group that resolved it anyway. And we did not get the feedback of, good job. However, you guys could have done it this way, because the questions are given to you in a story format, and then you then have to interpret it. So the way you interpret it and the way we interpret, because we are literally 1 month or 2 months into this, you write something and we interpret it to be a certain manner and you think it's a different manner. And then it was confusing what your role was at whether you were there as an investor, or a product owner, or you were there as a teacher. So, but all in all, it was all right. Got over it. We moved on, and yeah.
So the question is actually, did you feel that project prepared you well for what you're doing right now?
What was the project about? Sorry.
E-commerce projects. So many other projects.
I know there was the billing and there was the e-commerce. Yeah, the e-commerce was really, that was a very loaded one. Yes. It was helpful. And it was. I mean, those projects and having to come, and present kind of helped me. I don't know I can't speak for other people. It helped me in my interview sessions and how I could talk so confidently, even though in the real facts, I don't want to use in general fact, in the real facts, we had 1-2 months experience, but the kind of stuff we're doing was hardcore. So, you just talk so confidently and they're you sell them, right? So it was helpful in that regard.
So tell us, what exactly do you do right now as a consultant? What do you do on the job?
So the way the business is set up or the company is set up is we are brought in and assigned to different business units to support different business units, right? And we have the organization and there's a subsidiary. So I was assigned to the subsidiary. So we have 2 Salesforce orgs that we manage. The one for the main company has been there for over 15 years. It's you have to tread so carefully in dealing with that org. But the other one is just about 5 years old, and you can do stuff, you can freestyle. That's the luck. I don't want to say luck or grace I have that I can learn from the big organization and what they've done, and we can learn from their mistakes and not apply it to our org. And so you are assigned a project for your business unit. You are supporting the sales reps. You're supporting the people that work on the team, the stakeholders. So you assign a project. So you start your project planning. You come up with your requirement documents. God, I've always avoided dealing with anything having to do with VA, but it seems to be following me everywhere I go. So you have to meet with your stakeholders, requirement gathering, user stories. You just have to come up with all this documentation, back and forth, discussions. And then if it's a project that you need more information from Salesforce, you reach out because of the account you have with Salesforce. You reach out to Salesforce. They have an expert-led session with you. They explain certain things with you and say, are you sure that when we do all these things, we are not going to have these kind of issues and stuff like that? Then you build. Now, there are different types of build. There's build that we can build at our level, and the build that will be assigned to the devs. You'll be responsible for communicating with the devs, and when they build, you test, and you tell them, we want it this way, we want it this way. Then you on your own side, you do your configuration, and then you do a UAT, you do the test, and then when it's fine, you deploy from your personal sandbox. You do your UAT in the sandbox, but your personal in QA sandbox. In your personal sandbox, you move it, and everything is tested. It's fine. You choose a date for deployment. We have certain days we have to deploy that goes into the weekend, and then when everything is fine, you deploy to prod, and then when there are issues, you have to also attend to. One of the users says, "I can't do this. I can't see this." You go and test. It's like the whole cycle from the project introduction from the beginning to the end. So that's the nature of the job that I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she works as a consultant, by the way. So what you were trying to refer there is managed packages. So in an organization, you can have a managed package whereby you just improve what your organization has built, and you can have a free package where you're freestyling on what to do and you can get requirements and just start working in the hub. Okay. So Rosemary, while you were doing that, can you take a step back to reflect on your work experience with Blackforce? By work experience, I don't mean the real Blackforce work experience, but actually what happens after your training. because you were saying a lot of things from UAT, QA, and everything like that. When you were doing your own training, we don't have this comprehensive work experience internship. However, we still had something. So I want you to reflect back and find out, did any of those training you received, not just the training itself, but work experience as well as the relationship with people during your period, helped you survive your first few weeks, or I would say first few months in your new job?
I've always been someone who works really well with people. Like I'm just that way. So the work experience, I was assigned as under Salesforce developer. So the BAs and I think the consultants or something will say, oh, this is reserved for the developer. So it was myself, Funke and Nadiola, I think. And I love that part because the BAs were telling us what to do. But in my job, you tell the devs and you also do configuration yourself, right? Sorry, excuse me. I have code. So doing that work experience was great. We had a great team. Yes, I think the project we worked on was a case management one, but my role in that team was limited to the development part. And working with Funke and Adiola was also from the same group 4. So it just gelled. So yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks, Rosemary. So let me go back into getting jobs. After the training, it wasn't all that rosy again. You have to apply for jobs, and there was a time you were applying for jobs, and I don't think something was coming up. Okay, you try different strategy. You make comments on posts on LinkedIn. You had a one-on-one with me when I said, oh, I'm really surprised, or I'm worried that you haven't gotten a job yet. I didn't know something was in the pipeline, but I was worried, and you were very, I wouldn't say ashamed of having a one-on-one with me, but anyways, you had that one-on-one with me. I was questioning you and stuff like that, but you had other strategy, okay? You had other strategy that helped you. What did you do differently that got you the job you had as at that time? What did you do? I know you did something differently, but what did you do? Do you want to tell everyone?
Yeah, I just want to correct a notion. I wasn't ashamed to be with you on a one-on-one. I actually started applying for jobs later. So, and because when I reached out, I said to meet with you one-on-one, and you're like, Rosemary, I've given you everything that you need to go and succeed. What else do you need to really for? So I was like, you know what? True. I just need to go because I know we spend time on my resume. There's this mental block you experience, especially when you're not in the tech field. So I'm having to leverage your past experience. So it was having to come up with a resume that was suitable to be sent out to clients. And I think you sent me back about 4 or 5 times. I know a couple of times because I could not make that mental shift. And when I finally got it, I'm like, okay. And coincidentally, I had done all this business process analysis stuff at my place of work in Nigeria. I'd forgotten all that in preparing my resume. I wasn't thinking so deeply. I was still focused on the legal, but that's how blind I was. And you were correcting, and finally I got the picture. And yes, a bus driver who became a Salesforce, like you said, and I don't think the guy would have written that he was a bus driver, but he could have used like some very flowery language to deal with how I was able to, because at the end of the day, all occupation, you're solving problem, and it is the same with Salesforce or you are just solving a problem as a doctor, as an architect, and I don't mean IT architect, and building architect, or whatever occupation you find yourself, or selling, you are still solving a problem. So until I got that picture, that's when I had that mental shift, and I was able to design my resume, and I thought deeply, like, you've come up with so many of these documents, your past experience. Why did you suddenly forget? And so I started applying the last week of December, to be quite honest. I started late because we finished the training, but I was still slightly afraid. And I was like, you don't have any excuse anymore. The excuse before was you were trying to get trained. You were done with training. Then the next excuse was we are trying to prepare for certification. Certification came and went. And then I'm like, okay, there's nothing else to rely on. So I had no choice than to start pushing in. Now, coming to strategies, I didn't want to keep applying. And we had a session with you where you were talking to us and you gave us all the interview tips. And then I think Luna said we had not brought in the concept of HR talking to us or anything. Sam Balogun came and he spoke that, and he talked about using LinkedIn. I'm not really a social media person. I'm quite private, but I just have a LinkedIn that's just there. I had about 80 people that I connected with, and then Sam was talking about how LinkedIn is really used and it can assist you, especially in this part of the world.